Something is brewing down in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, what a bullet! He held on, and that's an Atlanta touchdown!
Something that should feel eerily familiar to Falcons fans.
Throws, end zone, it is caught! Touchdown Atlanta!
Big time throw by Michael Penix right there.
We've seen it before, and now more than 20 years later, the city might be staring down the second coming of a southpaw savior with a cannon arm and game-changing athleticism. Because if Michael Penix Jr. brings anything close to what Michael Vick delivered in the Dirty South, Atlanta could be back in business. In Atlanta, the name Michael still echoes. You didn't have to see him play to know what he meant to that franchise. Mike Vick was absolutely electric. There's no two ways about it. A left-handed quarterback who broke ankles and fired off lasers with a flick of the wrist, and now there's another game changer in the ATL. Michael Penix Jr., also a lefty, also a Heisman finalist, and also blazing fast with the ball in his hand. If you felt a bit of deja vu watching him in 2024, you weren't alone. But here's the thing, this isn't a remix. Penix isn't Vick 2.0, he's something entirely different. Because when Michael Vick came out of college, he was the most dangerous runner the position had ever seen. In just 20 games at Virginia Tech, he rushed for over 1,200 yards and 16 touchdowns. And when the Falcons drafted him in 2001, number 7 didn't push the limits of what a quarterback could do, he made the rest of the league look like they were standing still.
15, 10, go Mike Vick! This is over! It's over!
No one is saying Penix will ever come close to doing what Vick did on the ground in Atlanta, but he also doesn't need to, because he came into the league infinitely more polished as a passer. Vick broke ankles in Blacksburg. Penix broke passing records in Seattle. Over 6 seasons, 2 schools, and 4 major injuries, Penix stacked nearly 14,000 passing yards and threw 96 touchdowns. In his 2 years at Washington, he set the school's single-season passing record in back-to-back years and led the nation in 2023 with nearly 5,000 yards. Yes, he only rushed for 265 yards in 6 seasons, but he ran for 13 touchdowns, flashing his sub-4.5 speed as a legit dual threat inside the red zone. Where Vick was chaos in the open field, Penix is patient and poised in the pocket. Vick freelanced, Penix dictates, and where Vick made you hold your breath, Penix makes you sit back and say, wow, now that's an NFL throw. They're both left-handed and they're both dangerous, but only one entered the league with 1,600 college pass attempts, deep ball touch, and a full NFL route tree in his holster. And if that guy becomes this city's next great Michael, it won't be because he runs past defenders. It'll be because he reads through them and beats them over the top. And if you want more over-the-top NFL coverage, don't forget to like and subscribe after the video. Now, there are strong arms in every draft class, but this one stops conversations. Penix Jr. was the best passer in college during his 2 years at Washington. In 2022, he came within 105 yards of leading the nation in passing as a junior, finishing ahead of Caleb Williams, CJ Stroud, Bo Nix, and Jaden Daniels. In 2023, it wasn't even close. And the insane part is that Penix did most of his damage while throwing farther, faster, and flatter than just about anyone in the country. Every scouting report mentioned the deep ball, but it wasn't just the power that turned heads, it was the precision. Because Penix's 4,900 plus yards in 2023 didn't come from screens. There was no dinking and dunking and no yak padding. It was just drop, read, step, and fire. Whether Penix was on the run, off-platform, or under pressure, it really didn't make a difference. Every throw was a frozen rope that arrived with a vapor trail in its wake and had fans sitting on the edge of their seats. Penix's arrival in Atlanta, however, that was a different story. To say the Falcons have a history of making bonehead draft moves is an understatement, but Michael Penix Jr. isn't one of them.
With the 8th pick, the Atlanta Falcons select Michael Penix Jr.
Fans booed the pick, but what they should have been pissed off about was the team blowing $180 million in the offseason on 35-year-old Kirk Cousins, who was coming off an Achilles injury. Fortunately for Penix, it was only a matter of time before the Cousins situation sorted itself out. For the first 9 weeks of 2024, Kirk Cousins looked like he was back. He threw 17 touchdowns while going 6-3 and had everyone in Atlanta talking playoffs. Then, the collapse happened. a 10-point loss to New Orleans in Week 10, then a blowout in Denver, 4 picks against the Chargers, 0 touchdowns against Minnesota, and by Week 15, it was clear that the wheels had come off and gone flat. Raheem Morris had seen enough and handed the keys to the Millennial Falcon in Week 16. No warning, no soft landing, just, hey, you're up, kid. In the final 3 games of 2024, the numbers weren't pretty, but the poise and the arm talent Penix showed were worth the price of admission. In his first NFL start, Penix was quiet, playing game changer in a blowout win against the Giants. Then came 2 heartbreakers, 2 straight overtime games, and 2 near wins. And number 9 was in the middle of both, throwing darts, controlling tempo, and keeping Atlanta alive. He wasn't perfect, but more often than not, the reads were clean, the throws were sharp, and the moment never felt too big. Penix was thrown into the fire in the ATL, but instead of melting him, it lit a fuse that may well become a detonation in 2025. When the Falcons took Penix Jr., they were drafting a guy with raw talent who would sit behind a veteran, absorb an NFL system, and eventually run it. That lasted all of half a season before the years of hype surrounding Kirk Cousins finally hobbled into reality. The hard truth is this: he is just not the guy, so Captain Kirk was benched, and the kid who was supposed to be a project was thrown into the mix years ahead of schedule. But Penix didn't come in lacking experience or talent. He came into the league with more starts, more film study, and more reps than anyone else in the 2024 draft class. And let's be honest, you don't throw for nearly 14,000 yards anywhere without knowing exactly where to go before the snap. The scouts knew about the arm and mobility. What they underestimated was Penix's football IQ. The University of Washington didn't spoon-feed this kid reads. Kalen DeBoer's system is complex and layered, relying on full field progressions, delayed route timing, and shifting coverage rules. And number 9 ran it to perfection. In Falcons camp and minicamp, Penix has shown flashes of that polish, but Atlanta isn't rushing things. Head coach Raheem Morris knows Penix isn't there yet, but he's encouraged by his quarterback's ability to learn Zach Robinson's complex system. That's the part scouts missed. Yes, Penix has the arm, but what's giving Atlanta confidence isn't the big throws, it's his ability to make corrections, learn from his mistakes, and improve week by week. So no, the kid doesn't have the system on lock, at least not yet. But he's learning fast, asking the right questions, and if the mental game keeps trending the way it is, it's only a matter of time before he's in sync with the arsenal of weapons at his disposal. The biggest advantage Michael Penix has is that he's not walking into a rebuild. This isn't Carolina or New England. Atlanta has a roster that's built to win now. They have the weapons, the protection, and now, for the first time in a few years, they have structure at the top. Zach Robinson spent 5 seasons in Los Angeles running a Sean McVay system that utilizes condensed splits, misdirection, play action, motion, and rhythm throws. Now it's in Atlanta, and it fits Penix like a tailored suit. Because when you have his arm talent, you don't need gimmicks. You just need matchups, and the Falcons have them all over the field. Bijan is the engine, bringing top 5 talent at running back in year 3. Drake London is a 6'4" beast who finally has a quarterback that can stretch the field. Kyle Pitts has shown that he can be a mismatch nightmare and may finally make his breakout in year 2 of Robinson's system. Darnell Mooney gives Penix a legit vertical threat, and up front, Jake Matthews and Chris Lindstrom anchor a top 10 O-line going into 2025. The offense doesn't need to lean heavily on Penix. He just has to steer the ship until he gets his legs under him. Because in Atlanta, the rest of the pieces are already on the board. All Penix has to do is stay upright and let her rip, Tater Chip. If he can do that, the Falcons could be looking at a playoff run, and you could be looking at one of the biggest steals in your fantasy draft. According to Fantasy Pros, Michael Penix Jr. is being drafted behind guys like Drake May, Justin Fields, and JJ McCarthy. He's currently going off the board as quarterback 23, which, if you're a fantasy manager who drafts with your eyes instead of just projections, might be the steal of the summer. Let's start with the setup. Penix is walking into a system designed by a McVay disciple. He has a top-tier back in Bijan Robinson, a red zone alpha in Drake London, a cheat code matchup in Kyle Pitts, and a deep ball that can give you 6 on any given play. Even in limited action last year, Penix averaged 7.4 yards per attempt. To put that in perspective, Jared Goff and Joe Burrow both averaged 7.5, and those guys stretched the field as well as anyone. Now imagine Penix with a full offseason under his belt, the QB1 job locked in, and 17 games of volume on his plate for 2025. No, he's not going to run for 800 yards like the other Mike. That's not his game. But inside the 5, he's elusive, meaning you'll get a handful of rushing scores to go with yardage volume and 1 or 2 through the air each week. That's where you make your money late in drafts. And look, we're not saying draft him top 10. We're saying that if you're stashing for upside with a high floor, Penix Jr. makes a lot of sense at QB 23. Because once the NFL adjusts to the new Atlanta offense, your league might be too late to grab him. He's already been named the starter, so there's no controversy and no waiting game. This is his team now, and the upside of that isn't reliant on an ability to turn busted plays into pure adrenaline. It's built on fundamentals, accuracy, confidence, processing, and more than enough athleticism to escape when the pocket breaks. The comparisons to Vick will always be there. He's a lefty in the same city and the same name, but that's where they need to end. Because Michael Penix Jr. isn't here to recreate the past, he's here to start something new, and Falcons fans are all in on it now. He's not trying to be the next Michael Vick, and he's no longer a project. Michael Penix Jr. is the starting quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons, but is he the second coming of a left-handed legend or something the league's never seen before? Let us know what you think in the comment section below, and if you liked the breakdown, hit like, drop your sleeper quarterback pick, and subscribe for more deep dive NFL stories every week right here on Snap Count.